Hey everyone, I'm Shanda Trove, founder of Transcendent Publishing, and I'm here today with Raina Irene, international best-selling author of Because of Josiah. Welcome, Raina. Yay! I'm so excited to chat with you about this book. But before we get into it, let me just read your bio so people know a little bit about you, beside the fact that you're an international best-selling author. But you are also a heart, soul, spirit practitioner and the owner of Beauty, Strength, and Healing, Inc. You are a licensed esthetician and hold multiple certifications in holistic health, spiritual and emotional healing, plant medicine, Reiki, angels, and the afterlife. Raina's eclectic and spiritual diversity enables her to tap into your unique needs, supporting and guiding you to clarity and connecting you with your own healing energies. I love that. So you are, and I'm sure because I've been sharing about you in the book, and so many people have reached out. So I know you must be receiving it on your end, because I've had people coming out of the woodwork reaching out saying, I know another mother who could benefit from this book. And so let's just talk a little bit first about, so Raina, for those of you who may not know that may be watching, Raina lost her son, Josiah, in 2017. And she decided to write a book about his life and that journey. And it's very much, it's his story, but it's very much your story as well. So actually, let me just read the book description and then we'll start chatting about it. Because of Josiah is a deep and soulful memoir into the life and heart of a mother and her unending bond to her son here on earth and in spirit. Inspired one morning by a conversation she overheard in her mind between Josiah and the Ethereal, Raina quickly wrote down what she had heard and began to sense a nudge from her son to continue the story. Within this book, Raina shares Josiah's natural charm from an inquisitive child to a talented artist, performer, and healer, and the years of wonder and worry when the sea monster invaded his body and threatened to take him from her. In the end, though, it wouldn't be cancer, but a chance encounter with a tree that became his portal through the translucent door. Josiah has found many unexpected and remarkable ways to communicate with his mother that she calls the Alchemy of Josiah. He continues to let her know that he has never left her and that their bond is unbreakable, living and still possible. Raina's raw and personal stories guide you on her authentic journey with an honest look at grief, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and the power of healing that is possible from living with and living through the unimaginable alteration in this tapestry we call life. She puts into words the heart of every mother. I have chills all over. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So why don't you talk a little bit about why you decided to write the book?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if I gotta turn this off. I gotta turn it off. It's echoing. So I don't think I decided. I believe he decided. And, something I didn't write in the book that came to me after was one of the last conversations that Josiah and I had. Actually, it was talking to me and my husband and I, and he was saying, one day I'd like to write my journey that I've been through with this whole, cancer and this whole holistic approach and everything I've been through. And it dawned on me after that is something that, I didn't write everything of his, but I didn't want to write a book. And you spent many, many times with me on the phone going, what am I doing? I shouldn't have started this. Because I was very, very, very much inside what I was going through. So the stories were manifesting, a lot of them, as I was going through them also. So decision doesn't feel right. When I called you, I was hoping you would tell me, yeah, no way, girl. Don't do it. So, but it was really, I had sat down and I heard form. Do I have to become form again? And I started to write that segment out, and right then it just hit me what was happening. So
yeah, once you made the decision that you were open to it, it started to flow through you, and you knew you had that support, that divine support. So you contacted me in late 2018. So it hadn't even been it was just over a year since you lost, because you lost him on October 22nd, 2017.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you contacted me, I want to say it was December. So it wasn't even a year. So you were very much still walking that journey.
Raw.
Yeah.
Raw.
And I knew going into it that you would have, it would be a journey. But I also knew that I know the healing power writing can have. And while, of course, you'll never fully heal from losing Josiah, I knew, and I just firmly believe in my heart that just Josiah knows this as well and guided you to write the story, because on some level he knew that it would help to heal you and help you to move forward. Even even though you had many hard writing days, as anybody would expect a mother who's writing that story as you did, but it's so beautifully written. And I know that you mentioned a lot of times that you would write and then you would go back and then you wouldn't even, you'd be like, wow, did I write that? So do you feel like a lot of the book, just came through you once you decided to write it?
Once I sat down with something I knew, like I would feel like probed, like it's time to write. And I would write and I would write and I would write and write and I would be crying and writing and crying and then I would kind of emerge out of it, and I would look and go back to read what I had just written, and I would then be crying more because I was kind of shocked, like what just came through. And so and some of them were like deep, words that were not mine, they were not mine. And so, and then, I'd have to walk away, but it was always in this back, this running energy, the book, and so, and I feel like, yes, Josiah was very much a part of it, this process and still is,
Oh yeah. Definitely was. He guided both of us through this process.
To the bitter end. The bitter end.
But your book is such a blessing for other mothers who may have a child in spirit, because it really does teach them through you telling your story. Once you get to the parts where he is in spirit and how you receive the signs and you still are able to have a connection with him, I know that can be so beneficial to maybe someone who doesn't know where to look for the signs. So your book is helping so many mothers, and I know that it wasn't an easy process for you, but I really commend you for writing it, because especially at the point where you committed to write it. It was maybe a little, I'm not going to say it was a little soon, but it was a little sooner than I maybe would have. If you said to me, I want to write this story, I maybe would have said, okay, well, maybe wait another year or so. But I just really felt like with you, it was part of your journey, and it was going to help you process a lot of the emotions, because writing can do that. Just like when at one point I asked you, you sent me what you had written, and I said, Raina, you have to talk about Josiah as a child. We got to know who he is so that we can connect with him. And that was really, really difficult for you.
It was. I went blank. Because I had to dive into that part, because I've been dealing with, he was 29. So I've been dealing with this journey we had just had. And so I had to dive back in, and what I wrote was true. I pulled out all these, boxes and bins of pictures, and I surrounded myself in them, and I was like, oh, you just screwed yourself, like you just made a mess here. And I was, I thought, oh my gosh, like I can't remember anything. And I wrestled with that, and then I had a dream. And when I had that dream, I came back in, and I was like, oh my gosh, like of course I remember. Of course I remember. But then I felt like, write the story of how hard that was for you, because this wasn't easy. I know my words tend to be a little flowery, and poetic, but that's just emotional writing that's coming out of me, and that's just how I write. But it was so hard. I mean, it was just, there was just days that were like, what am I doing? Because I'm living this. But then something would happen, and I would come home. I would jot down little notes. I would come home, and I would write it out. And then I was like, what am I, like, do I end this? When is this going to stop? How am I going to know when it's over? And I stopped. But then I wasn't ready to stop, because I had to have these stories. The stories had to happen. And so I was living them, and I was writing what I was living. And it was, until I was done, So
I see that so often with authors, where they feel called to write a book, and it oftentimes it's because they're meant to live through something that's meant to go in the book. And I watched that unfold with you throughout the entire process.
Right.
You'd go to write something, you'd have to experience something, live through it. We'd have to take a break. Then you could write it. And then when it was on to the next thing, you'd have to live through it and experience it. But that whole process is, helping you process your emotions and your feelings. And so now that you are on the other side of it and the book is out there, and I know it was hard because I was right there with you through the entire journey, but now that you're on the other side of it, do you see, looking back, how it was beneficial to have those hard writing days?
Oh yeah. I mean, I see how I had to have the stories. They had to be, I had to live them. I mean, 2 years, just the 2 year where the artwork came was like, what if I had left that out? That was phenomenal. And of course he showed me in a dream, and then when I was writing that out in the butterfly dream at the end, and I realized I'm afraid to end this book. I'm afraid if I stop writing, he's going to stop showing up. And that hit me so hard. And, I mean, and then I realized, I just wrote the last chapter. Oh my gosh, like what just happened here? So hindsight is always, what they say, you always go, oh, I get it now. Like I get that. I knew I didn't have enough time in this part of my life, emotionally, to write a book. I knew that I didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't know what I was doing.
That's okay. You had Josiah and me to guide you. So, and in the end, you have a beautiful book, and you followed your intuition, and you just let it unfold naturally, and you let it take you on the journey that it was meant to take you on. And I kept telling you, because you would say, I don't understand how this is going to turn into a book. I say, just keep writing the stories. Keep writing the stories. Keep writing the stories. Right. I promise someday it'll make sense. It'll all come together. And it's a beautiful book. So I'm very proud of you.
Well, then you also had told me that, I hadn't written anything from his diagnosis and then towards the end. And so I had to go back in and interview like some of his friends, some key components, that would help me create his journny. Because of course I knew it, but I didn't live it. So that was so healing for, to anytime one of his friends contacts me, it's like they just put a pillow and I just rest on it, like, thank you for calling, So it was so beautiful to have conversations with these people throughout the journey. and being able to put, weave that in, because it's such a, that was the most important part, because from diagnosis to spirit was this evolution, this magical human that chose me, and the way he was evolving, and then the things we had in common, those needed to be said, and the things he taught me. I mean, he taught me, he continues to teach me, but he taught me, I mean, that's the beauty of having children, they get to teach you, like, so.
So other mothers who may be grieving and going through a loss, writing book might not be for everyone, but what other things would you recommend that they do to process some of that? Do you recommend journaling or anything like that?
So, first of all, I recommend noticing everything, because there are so many different ways that spirit can connect to you, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, visually, dreams, animals. So the first thing is to the first thing is like we have to work on some of our own emotional things, like like the guilt and the because there's so much that goes with all of it. But then to pay attention, and when you notice something, write it down. You don't have to write a book. Trust me, and this to be true, that so many of the stories, especially in the Alchemy of Josiah, when he was in spirit, were just bullet points. I had just jotted down a quick little sentence. And then when I went back to write the stories, which was one of the first things you said, go write the stories, was I went and I just looked at that sentence, and it jarred that memory, because these things are imprinted in us. We know these things. They're deep within our soul, and especially when we're having connections to our children, they're there. So just jot it down so that you can remember. And you can also sometimes see a pattern. So notice if you always see, 12, or if you always see, just notice everything. I notice everything, because the more you pay attention, the more open your energy field will be, the more open your intuition becomes, and the easier it is for you to really connect in with that. So just, allowing yourself to take a moment to quiet that emotion, because we're in so much pain. I mean, it's so painful, and we all have experienced pain, whether it's a child or a mother or a sister, I mean, pain is pain, and just pausing for a minute and trying to step away from, just not step away, but, transmuting that into connecting deeper. So writing, self-care, doing something that nurtures you, because you still need to take care of you, because if you're not well, it's going to be harder for you to connect. And I don't say you won't, because I don't believe that, it's just going to be harder, because when we don't feel good, it lowers our vibration. So it's a place of raising our vibration. And I shared something the other day. A lot of people believe, like, well, if I'm crying and I'm grieving, then I'm not going to connect in. I don't believe that. If you're angry and bitter and have a negative about you, it's going to be harder. But if you're lovingly grieving and I just miss you, I believe, that's what I've chose to believe, that the deeper my cry, the tighter his hug. So if it's your heart's cry, you're connected right that minute, right that second. Boom, you're in. So some of that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm sure that's incredibly helpful for anyone listening who's experiencing the same. So you have a community, a Facebook group for,
I do.
Yeah. Can you talk about that? Because I think that would be a great first step for someone who doesn't know where to go if they're grieving as a mother.
So it's called Lullaby Letters, Letters from Our Children's Spirit. And that was another little hit I got. And I mean hit, I got hit. and I heard Lullaby. I felt a lot of pressure to create. I had gone to a retreat. And I mean, I already had friends who had children in spirit, but then I had gone to a retreat, and there was 15 of us, and there was 3 of us that had sons in the spirit. And for some reason, that really triggered me. Like, how is this possible? Like, I should be the only one here. You know, there shouldn't be other mothers here. So I hadn't looked for other groups. I hadn't really been online that much. So I scolded, Spirit or Josiah, and I'm like, lullabies. And I'm, basically heard, yeah, like, we sing to you now. They're lullabies that give it. They're gentle nurture. I mean, the lullabies we sing to them are for listen. I don't know. Anyways, that's what came out. And so I created that. It was Christmas. It was probably really close to right around when I was writing you, because it was all kind of happening right around there. And I was literally Alice Cooper eyes and writing it out and creating it with my purse over my, and then I went out. It was Christmas Eve. And then I went out, just created it. I just made the group and kind of walked away from it. And then invited a few people in. So it's a really gentle area. Everybody in there is so supportive, and it's a sacred place. It's where the sacred alchemy is. And so it's just a good place to come and find love, and other mothers. And I do have some dads in there now, but some, yeah, I don't know where they came from. They just came. So that's really, when you asked earlier, like, I think that's one of the most important things, is to have, because literally your vibration is just different, and it's a kindred energy that helps you go, okay, I'm not alone, because you feel very alone, so it's good.
I love that you have that Facebook group. So it's a closed group. It's a safe place to go in there and share and get support, or just, watch and maybe be supportive of others. And
right.
Over time, as you feel comfortable, you can start sharing. So if somebody wanted to find it, they would just look for Lullaby Letters on Facebook, or how about after this, you can drop a link in the comments.
Can I do that? Am I able to do that?
We'll do it afterwards, but
okay. All right.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that
you can actually go to my Facebook page, and right below my name, there's a link to Beauty, Strength, and Healing, and to Lullaby Letters. It's right there too.
Okay, your Facebook page, Raina Love.
Raina Love.
Okay. Yes. All right. So, if somebody wanted to get a copy of your book, we'll show the cover again so that they can see Josiah now that they've heard a lot about him. There he is. So handsome. So handsome.
So I want to tell a story about the cover, because
sure.
I am just, I love Bosnia, man. Mr. No Name. So Shanda has a cover person, and what she likes to do is just have them do it intuitively. And then there's a questionnaire also that I filled out, or her authors fill out. And then after he does his intuitive one, he then looks at what you have to say, and he does stuff, creates based on what you had to say. And so when this was the intuitive one, and I immediately downloaded it to my phone and had it as my saver, and went, I don't think I need to see anything else. And then he sent the stuff that based on what I had to say, which was like nothing compared to this. And so I was he's just magical. And so it really changed my energy around a lot of things because of this cover. So anyways, I just thought it was so cool that he, was guided again by my son.
Yep.
And, that it was beautiful. So just love that story.
I don't recommend that for every author, because sometimes authors come in and they say, oh, I know exactly what I want my cover to look like. I've even sketched it out for you. And I say, okay, well, my cover designer can recreate that for you. But the real magic happens when you allow them to do what they do. They're artists. Let them use their God-given gifts and their intuition. But I also knew from working on the interior of the book that how guided I was by Josiah for every part of it. And so I knew that he would guide the cover artist as well. And he certainly did. So I said, let's let him intuitively come up with something before I send him your specs or your brief. Yeah. So that then let's see what he comes up with. So
I was like, like everything. I was like, I mean, I already had my like things, you know, I already had this, you know, and I already had stars on my phone. And so I was like, what's happening right now? And so it like changed my cards and it was just really cool. Like my website, and it just really was beautiful. So like loved it. So
it's a great cover. So is it for sale on your website, or do they need to go to Amazon?
Yes. Well, you can do both. If you're not in the States, then I recommend going to my link on for Amazon to get the book, because I think out of state it just costs so much to send. But you can go to rainairene.love, and it's got both links. There's one by the author and then one by the it says out of the States, like international, I think so.
So you can go to rainairene.love, not .com, but .love, and get it by the author. You can go to amazon.com. You can go to barnesandnoble.com and get a copy, because it really is a beautiful story, a beautiful journey that it'll take you on. Your writing is so poetic and beautiful. So I can't imagine that anybody wouldn't, not enjoy that read. So what do you have planned next? I know you're getting a lot of invitations for speaking, and it's ever since we put this book out, it's just started circulating. People are sharing it with other mothers who could benefit from it, and the word is really getting out there. You had an incredible launch. You hit #1 bestseller in over 10 categories. You have 52 reviews on Amazon. It's very well received. So beside, the speaking, and what else do you have planned?
I want to plant flowers.
Need a break.
That's a really good question, because I never, not never, but I know that there's something else, and I know, and I told you this before we even started going the interview, that I'm not sure, well, I'm positive actually that I haven't fully processed the emotions around any of this. This is still so fresh for me that I'm like, I don't even know where to go. But I know that I want to interact with my Lullaby Letter mothers and do some different workshops, or I don't know how ready I am to create this very second, but I know my son, he's so pushy. So, and I know my own heart, that I want to do something. So we'll be doing something, we'll be doing something, something will be coming up, and I know it'll start, it'll start soon, or, maybe having, 2, 3, 4 week little workshops on just learning how to connect into spirit, or learning how to write, because we all have different avenues that we want to grow from. And, writing doesn't have to mean writing a book. There's some beautiful writers out there that just want to share. And, I really want to do a compilation book, in a year or two, maybe, maybe making some oracle decks. I don't know, but definitely there is something on the horizon. It's just,
I think after this, getting it out there and launching it, because people say, writing the book's the hard part, but then comes the book launch, and then comes the marketing. So it really, I don't know that there is an easy part.
Yeah.
It's all a process. And so I've been telling you that you need to take a vacation. You've earned a vacation after all of this. It's been what? It's been 2 years,
Two
almost 3
years.
in the making.
2 years.
So, and it's out there in the world. It's doing wonderful things. People are finding it. You're getting called for speaking and interviews, and I'm sure your Facebook group will continue to grow. And that might be a great place for mothers to share their writing if they want to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To just share your heart. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to create that group, is just for them to be, however that needs to be. And there's a lot of groups out there, there's a lot of beautiful groups, and they're doing beautiful things. And um, you know, writing the book was the hard part. Launching the book, that was like more of like mind blow. I mean, my mind's just a little blown. Like, oh my gosh, I really like. It's one thing, you're going to start a book and you're going to write it, and then you're writing, you're doing this, and and it got a little grueling, and you're rereading it, and you're all those different things, and then all of a sudden it's a viable thing. And not only is it that I wrote a book, but that I wrote something that I myself will have forever in, as I get older and forgetful, like I can always read, and he's alive, and that's one thing, is that they're alive. They're just alive, over, in a different world. There's no afterlife. It's another world, and that doesn't mean that because I wrote it all out, or because I launched a book, or all these things, that somehow, everything's okay now. Like, it's still a real emotion. I'm still gonna, I still cry for him. And but I do feel that getting these signs on paper, like the signs, and I don't always write all the signs out, I mean, I'm still human, and I'll have something, and I don't run home and wrote, like a butterfly today, like I don't write them all out, because I also feel like we need to be in the moment, and we just need to savor the moment, and the experiences, and to know that our children want the best for us, that there's no way that my son would have been okay with me laying in bed every single day, and never doing anything outside of the grief, I should say, so writing a book, it definitely was a dream come true. I absolutely did not want to write a book about my son in spirit, because I would never want that, but to write a book that could help someone else, that they can actually read it and go, I feel better, because I know how much it hurts. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm not gonna cry. Reel it in, Raina.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's the biggest thing, is that, like, that when a mother's written me and said, Raina, your book makes me feel so much better. I have hope. I have hope. I feel a faith again. I don't feel stuck, or, oh my gosh, I realized that was a sign, or that just, I sit back and I don't have any words. I don't know where to go. Like, I just sit there and go, I'm so grateful. Like, that I was nudged, that I kept my fingers on these keyboards, which, by the way, I bought myself a new keyboard. Look how pretty it lights up.
Oh,
but, that I put my, they gifted me, because I realized I wasn't writing for me anymore. It was a gift to me.
well, the book has so many wonderful purposes. It's, it's a beautiful tribute to your son. It's a keepsake for you. It's packed with pictures from his entire lifetime. And it's such a beautiful gift to other mothers and anyone. I would say you don't even have to have a child in spirit to really connect with your words. And if you could have anyone that you love in spirit, and this book is going to help you.
Yeah.
It's going to teach you how to see, how to notice the signs and things that you can do. And it's a blessing to many. So thank you for writing it. I think I can speak for many when I say thank you for doing that.
Yeah. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, and I'm still a little blown away, when I touch it and I feel it and I look at it, and I always knew this would be the picture, but I had no idea what else was going to happen around it. And so it's definitely been a time,
Yeah.
a time. And I know you keep saying, well, you'll write another book. And I'm like, well, what am I going to say? I wrote it all here.
You have a lot more to say. You will write another book. You might not think you will right now, but someday, probably not too far off, you will. I think we all need a break after we write a book, a little time to catch our breath and feel, to just take a little time off. But then it gets you. Once you've written one book, you're going to write many books. So be prepared. It's coming.
Well, you be prepared.
I'm ready.
Yeah, with me again.
No, I loved working with you. It was such an honor that you chose me to take this journey with you. And I felt, and I know I've shared this with you, I had such a connection to you and Josiah. Now, being through the other side of writing this book and everything that went into getting it out in the world. So I'm just so honored that we were able to do that for you. And what was your experience like working with Transcendent Publishing?
Well, first of all, let's just talk about you, because not only did you not only did you you walk through my journey with me. So you were not only like publishing and coaching me, but you were also listening to a lot of times where I was just so distraught, and you were just there, and you gave so much more than the average. Well, I don't know, but you just gave. I don't know what other people do, but I know what you did, and you gave me so much time of your time, and so you were also like a therapist, because you would coach me on the writing, but you were listening to my heart, and you gave me a safe place to be. And with any of your writers, I know people that come to you write, really, spiritual, and they write life matters, things that are really happening in life. And you need that. You need someone who is going to not rush you or put pressure on you, or there's no timeline. But someone who is gentle on you. You were always just so gentle with me, and I needed that, and that was so beautiful. And then just everyone you have working with you were so kind, and even your editor, we ended up having a long conversation and having things in common, and whatever, Raina, if you like your word better, it was just a good experience. And and then just we found at the end, there was all these little things, little tweaks we needed to do, and I was stressing that it was like wrong to ask, and so I didn't ask, but then you're like, let's do it, and down to the very last second, just everything. It was the most, I would personally, will never, you will always publish any other book I do, and I couldn't recommend you more. Like, there could be no other words. Everyone, right down to Bosnia man.
And I appreciate that. I'd be honored to work with you again. I would be honored.
Yeah, definitely. It was a beautiful experience.
Oh, Likewise. That's what I said. I'm so, by the end of this, I was so emotionally attached to this book. I felt like it was my baby as well, that I was stuck. When you said, okay, I think we have an error, we're going to fix the error. If we got to cancel the book order and start a new book order, we're going to fix the error.
In fact, that's what happened.
We're not printing 100 books with an error. So, no. No, it was good. It was good. It was a beautiful journey. It was, you know, I can't even put into words how honored I am that you chose me to walk this journey with you, and how proud of you I am that the book is out there in the world. So go get your copy of, I thought I had it on my desk. I was going to hold it up because of there it is. Because of Josiah, and check out Raina's Facebook group if you're feeling called. Lullaby Letters.
Yeah. Lullaby Letters, Letters from Your Children in Spirit. And I also have Beauty, Strength, and Healing, which is where I go and do like a lot of different readings, and that's where I do my voodoo.
That's your Facebook page, Beauty, Strength, and Healing, right?
I actually have a page and a group, and I just haven't changed either of them. I don't know which one I want to change, so I just have left it. I don't do as much on my page that I do in my groups. So.
Well, if you had one final thought to leave our listeners with, what would that be?
It's not one thing you do. It's everything you do. So explore your options. Believe. Just believe, and don't let anybody shake that belief. No one could. I would just tell them they had to leave my energy field, but it's like the biggest thing is, well, what'd you do, Raina? It's just, I just kept doing. I kept looking in every avenue and everywhere and seeking, whether it was, energy work or mediumship or, I just kept looking and just never stop looking and just keep doing. And when you do that eclectic look of everything you do, like all the different avenues, it's this one beautiful tapestry, and they are 100% woven into it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you.
So this will be up on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on our website. I'll send it to you. So hopefully mothers all over will find your book, because what a gift it would be for any grieving mother.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone who showed up today.
You have a lot of beautiful comments. I can't wait for you to go through and read them all.
Good.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks again for.
You too. Thank you. I love you.
Love you.
Bye.